Pause whatever you're doing for this one. Kensington has signaled a rare pivot, the White House diary has shuffled, and the result is a tableau we haven't seen in years. The Princess of Wales front and centre as a US presidential state visit rolls through the gates of Windsor. If you enjoy getting these insider briefings with a bit of context, and a steadier pulse than the headlines, tap like and subscribe, this channel is built for you. Here's the shape of it. The visit has slipped a day forward, quietly, but decisively. Instead of arriving on the 17th and departing on the 19th, President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will now touch down on the 16th and leave on the 18th. That first evening will be sealed off from the public, no walkabouts, no cameras, just the necessary protocols and the movement of motorcades under cover of dusk. The change matters because it compresses the choreography that follows and elevates the part the Prince and Princess of Wales will play when the curtain properly rises. When it does, the picture will be unmistakably royal. William and Catherine will be the first faces the American couple meet on the day, an intentional signal that the future of the crown greets the present of the Republic. From there, the procession shifts to the King and Queen's formal welcome within the Windsor estate. Expect the full measure of pageantry, a royal salute thundering from the East Lawn and echoing across to the Tower of London, scarlet tunics at attention, the air pricked with the particular stillness that precedes a 21-gun moment. Then movement, always movement. A carriage procession will sweep through Windsor's grounds, the route flanked by the armed forces, steel and Polish glinting in the English light. It is the kind of image that becomes a postcard, but the symbolism is more practical than romantic. The monarchy at ease in its own house, receiving a guest with weight enough to warrant cerise plumes and the clatter of wheels on stone. Inside the castle, President Trump and the King will pause where state visits always do, at ceremony's hinge. The guard of honor will be inspected with deliberate, measured steps, the small courtesies, a glance, a nod, a shoulder squared, telling you more about the tone of the day than any communique. Lunch follows in the state dining room, silver drawn from memory, menus that read like a march through the English seasons, and then the kind of curated diplomacy that Windsor does exceptionally well, a private viewing from the royal collection, objects that trace an Atlantic story in wood, paint, and vellum. The pieces shown on days like this are never random, they're chosen to remind, to connect, to say in porcelain what speeches often bruise. There will be a quieter interlude, one both sides have agreed should stand apart. The King and the President will visit the tomb of the late Queen. A wreath, a silence, a small tour of the chapel that became a nation's place of leave-taking. This is not spectacle, it is a line of respect, and it will likely be the image that lingers once the flags are furled. Later, the red arrows will embroider the sky and a state banquet will close the day, a long table, measured to an inch, the Princess of Wales exactly where she always is at such moments, immaculate, composed, turning the machinery of hospitality into something warm. The final day splits by design. The President heads to Chequers to meet Prime Minister Keir Starmer, with Lady Victoria in attendance. There's work threaded through the optics, a look at the Sir Winston Churchill archives, a deliberate pilgrim's step in the ledger of Anglo-American myth, and a business reception hosted by the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. You'll hear talk of investment and jobs, the language that makes pageantry pay. Meanwhile, the First Lady's mourning sits closer to Windsor's quiet treasures. Queen Mary's doll's house first, an exquisitely domestic wonder that never fails to disarm, then the Royal Library, where shelves hold the kind of history you can smell. And then a meeting that will say a great deal about the tone the palace means to set. Melania joins the Princess of Wales in Frogmore Gardens. The company matters, Chief Scout Dwayne Fields and members of the Scout Squirrels program, because Catherine has been president of the Scout Association since 2020, and the Squirrels, those youngest pioneers, fold neatly into her long game, early years, confidence, community. If diplomacy is a relay, this is where a baton is passed, not in a drawing room, but on grass, among children, with a question or two that might change a life. Late afternoon gathers both couples back at Chequers, and the visit resolves where these things often do in the grace notes of a farewell, a final photograph in a doorway built for history, a last exchange of words that will be parsed by people who live for commas, and motorcades dissolving into the countryside. A few points worth reading beneath the velvet. First, the date shuffle. It will be written up as diary pressure, and it may well be. But it also compresses the optics, trims the slack, and concentrates attention where the palace prefers it, on Windsor, not London, on the Crown's continuity, not its corridors. Second, Catherine's positioning. Greeting a US president at the top of the day is not mere courtesy, it is a statement about the royal family's succession of service. The princess has been building toward this kind of role, quietly, steadily, with patronages that are not fashionable but foundational. On visits like this, clothes, gestures, even the cadence of small talk turn into instruments. She plays them without noise. There's another layer here for those who watch for it, the balance between tradition and tact. A ride through Windsor in open carriages nods to the past, the scouts in Frogmore point to the next decade. A salute on the lawn puts steel behind the handshake, a wreath at the late Queen's resting place persuades without a single word. It is choreography, yes, but it is also governance by grace. You'll hear whispering about security. You should. It's a sensible hum whenever a presidential convoy meets royal protocol. The 16th stays private in part for that reason. The rest will unfold with the default British solution: visible order, invisible planning, and a lot of patience from people in earpieces who never appear on camera. If you're keeping a diary, tuck away these names: Warren A. Stevens, US Ambassador in London, and Henry Hood, Lord-in-Waiting. They will be the first to extend the King's welcome on day one, a prelude written in handshakes. Also note the small but telling arc of the President's schedule: Churchill's papers, a Chancellor's reception, and then the long glide back to the airport. The message is clear enough: sentiment, commerce, farewell. What does it add up to? For the Princess of Wales, a major role, yes, but more than that, a visible consolidation of the style she has been refining for years: less speech, more substance; less drama, more depth. For the palace, a reminder that the monarchy is at its best not just when it dazzles, but when it steadies. And for those of us who will watch the carriages, the colours, the measured steps across ancient stones, an assurance that even in a week of late switches and tight margins, the page turns cleanly. If this helped you see past the headlines and into the mechanics of the moment, give the video a like, share it with someone who appreciates the craft of state visits, and subscribe. We'll be right here when the next curtain rises.